Hi guys. Let me take a breather. So, if you know me mostly through my YouTube channel, I'm like a yoga instructor, and after COVID, I'm unable to teach any yoga classes because everything got paused due to restrictions. So then I just realized that maybe I'm giving back to the community by offering like a free yoga sections on my YouTube channel. So then, yeah, I think I started around May or so and feature all the yoga poses. Anyway, this video is not actually about any yoga moves. I will go back on live to feature those moves as usual for our Sunday. However, I just feel like I really need to put my words out there for people like me being bullied by landlords or by anyone else that just, as an adult, you shouldn't get bullied. It's only like a high school thing, right? But it happens in life. And I have to say that I have been putting up with this landlord many times. And I always tell myself that, it's who he is. I could have moved out of the property with many reasons. And I think that the city and the law would protect me if I do that. However, I'm only by myself with two cats. And, packing stuff, moving in general is a pain, right? So I just kind of put up with it just to let it go and kind of some sort of comply to what he trying to push over. But it's escalated to the point that it drew the line for me last night, because after he decided to put this property up on sale without telling me, the realtor actually reached out to me and say, hey, your property is on sale and we need to put a key locks whatever at your place. So anyway, and then after I told the potential buyers the truth, because they asked me about the problem in the house, he started to say that, okay, that's it, you're gonna get out of the house, next month. Even like a day ago, I was trying to ask him for a little legally written notice that I would be protected after 30 days of the closing, because I don't want to be in the middle of, having nothing to live or to stay. And then he tried to assure me that, there would be an investor taking over anyway. That person will likely let you rent again. You don't have to move. And the whole thing might happen, the end of April anyway. So you don't need the writing or whatever. But then I found out that the realtor, hopefully she is right, that according to Michigan law, if you need your tenant to move out of the place, you have to give that tenant 30 days of notice, and the same thing with the tenant to the landlord. So, yeah, because I was telling him that I actually gonna pay him week to week now, because I'm just afraid that the buyer will want me to vacate the property, before the end of the month, like, but track back everything, okay, before that thing escalated to that point. I have an hour to explain to you because I know Instagram will get cut off in an hour. And I think social media is a powerful tool for whoever like me would like to send out the message to everyone, especially during this pandemic. I know there are a lot of people couldn't pay rent. Thankfully, not me. But then the landlords just only looking at profit so much without, understanding to the situation the tenant going through, because that is the basic of humankind, right? So then, and then, good thing the government that have some sort of rental eviction protection for now to help the tenants for not being evicted, for not being able to pay the rent due to the pandemic. But anyway, I just want to get the words out there. Just backtrack everything, how I got into this situation. So for the past 10 years or so, I have been renting because it's just mostly me. If I buy a house, I would, do a lot of maintenance because I couldn't afford a fancy place that I could do this kind of, non-maintenance free life. So anyway, I have been renting out for 10 years. I have one of the best landlords in Ohio, and he's really responsive. This is what landlord should be. Anything that relate to the house, even the stuff that owned by the landlord that got broken down or something that the house need maintenance, as a tenant, you call up and tell the landlord that, need to be fixed. And as a good landlord, that person has to be responsive to the tenant and, take the action right away and fix it without any doubt. Even if that tenant caused any damage that need to be repaired, that is a different story. But it doesn't matter what the damage is, the landlord should just come and fix it, right? So that's how a responsive and responsible landlord should be. So I had that one of the landlords that really good about that. And, when I was in Ohio, so after my fellowship training, I got a job and moved to Missouri. And then I felt like I wanted to settle into the state. And so I bought the house. But then due to some personal reason, I sold off after a week and I moved away and got a job in Michigan. And just feeling like, owning a house is indeed a lot of work for me. So then I decided to rent out this place. So I have a friend who lives in Michigan that she could help me just to look at the property. However, her schedule was not aligned with whoever showed the house from the beginning. So she couldn't make the in-person view for the house. However, she made some sort of, effort. I think I have to thank her for this. She drove by and just to see the neighborhood, because this area can be really, I would say, sectional. So like some section can be really sketchy, some sections really good. So she drove by, she said, the section pretty okay, decent. I think you'll be okay, without looking into the house. And then I have the realtor that show the house through FaceTime. Now I learned that, you cannot trust anyone showing your property through a phone, okay? Because that person can just select the areas for you to see, and you wouldn't even think, you kind and I'm kind of like believing people goodness so much that sometimes I just fell for it, to the point I trust people to the point that sometimes they take advantage of it. But anyway, he showed the place. I was just like, okay, it's kind of old, but it's fine. And from the description, I'm fine with it. So I drove 9 hours from Missouri to Michigan just to move in, and thinking that the house was ready. I showed up exhausted. And then I tried to open the gate to pull my car into the garage, and the gate couldn't open widely enough for my car to pull in. And I'm like, this is bad, because he did mention, like the landlord did mention in the written that, all the repairs will be done by the time you're here. So then I was a little bit upset about it, but I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can just park my car in the driveway. Anyway, I just parked the car there, got into the house. It was like a crack house. And I was just really devastated at that time and felt overwhelmed, because I packed myself, moved 9 hours with my cat, and I show up exhausted, and the house looked like a crack house. I paid a cleaning fee for this place, for the landlord to clean the place. It never happened. The house, the ground filled with bugs. There was like some holes on the wall, and the furnace started make like a shrieking noise, because later on I figured out, because it's missing a door from the furnace, so I had to put up a cardboard, whatever it is, to stop the shrieking, right? And so, and then the backyard, in the morning, the backyard was like a jungle. The grass was like as tall as, or maybe higher than my knee. And I would just like feeling so overwhelmed with the whole thing. I called him up, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna keep you in touch with one of the property managers that I have, and he could help me. And I have to say, this guy was really nice and friendly. He showed up, and oh yeah, by the way, the fire alarm just went off because it needed some sort of batteries. And I didn't want to touch it, because I tried to take it out just to put the batteries in, but it didn't work, So anyway, that property manager showed up and was so nice, that helped. And in the next 2 days, he kind of fixed what I put in like a long list. I think I have like a 20 things essential for you to fix, right? And he and I had a chat, and he was laughing at me and say, you know what, your landlord, I don't want to call out his name here. He actually asked me for kind of like a favor, and you didn't want to see this house before you moved in. It was even worse than what you saw. He and some of his workers like clean up the house already a little bit, and the trash was like stacked up to like the roof of the house. That's what he said. And then he said, like, well, I was doing some sort of, construction maintenance for his mom's place. So he then asked me for a favor, and I'm like a long-term contract. So I feel like, sure, I can give you a favor. But then later on, it seems like my landlord took advantage of him, that didn't want to pay a fair price. And this guy named Mo, he told me like I really need a serious conversation with him, discussing about the cost of how, if he wanted me to take over as a property manager. And I agree. I told him, yeah, I agree. This is your job, and you put so much time, effort, and strength into clean this place and to maintain this place in the future. So you need, like a good compensation for it, so that you can feel what you put in is worth it. Anyway, so then somehow when thing happened again, the garage door never got closed and it got broken. And so many times I contacted my landlord that this is a hazard. It will fall one day and it might fall onto my car. That's why at that time I didn't park my car into the garage. I parked outside. Or it just fall on me or fall on someone else that visiting me. He ignored completely everything. And anyway, so then I kept bugging him and I called Mo out and like, Mo, what's happening? Can we fix this? I think this is the critical one. And he just like told me, Quinn, I can't be the property managers. I'm sorry. I'm out now. So I felt really like at that time, I felt like, oh my God, because I feel like someone like Mo, so responsible, and I feel just lost, I was like, oh my God. I tried to reach to this landlord. He couldn't even like help me. I'm by myself. I feel like it's just so hopeless. So and Mo like, okay, I step out. I'm done. So for the past 3-4 months, I kept bugging this landlord to the point that the glass on the door of the garage shattered down. Good thing I was not there. Underneath, it got hit on my head. Otherwise, I'd probably be in the hospital, maybe suing him. Anyway, and then finally, he felt obligated that he just contracted out to some guy, whatever, replace the garage door. But it was a shitty job for a garage door anyway, because when you close it and try to push it open, it's so hard. And, I feel like every morning, if I'm hurried to get to work, I don't have time to try to crank it up and open it. So I always put a block underneath of the garage door. I just close it, give a gap, so that in the morning I just push it up, right? Anyway, so that was one big problem that I kept bugging him for several months. And then it just like fine. And then, he showed up one time last year just checking out things. And I told him that there was a door in the other bedroom that falling off. And it's not good. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to try. So he tried to fix it, but I know he's not a person who can fix anything. So then he took off the whole door and said, okay, I will send someone else to come and, put it up for you. And then he left, right? And, I feel like I don't need that door anyway. It's nice if I have it. If I don't have it, it's fine. So I kind of like, I don't want to bug him for that matter. So then I just let it slide, and he just like never mentioned about that door. The one thing that's starting getting a little bit into problem, that he started to get really annoyed by me, because it turned out that this place he renting out without any rental permit, and I had no clue. I have absolutely no knowledge that he didn't have a permit for renting. So the city came and started to talk to, so my mom was visiting me at that time, started to talk to her. She has little English, so she got so scared. She didn't know what to do. And it happened 3-4 times, to the point that they posted a notice that this house is legally renting out. If you a tenant, put away the money so that, when it got permit, then you can pay it to him. But you know what? I just feel like maybe he got busy with his life. So I still pay him and keep telling him that, you need to take care of this. They just keep bugging me all the time. And I just keep giving them your phone numbers. And that's the only way that I can help the city. And, he just drag it for like another 3-4 months or so. And then I think he got a fine or something, because a notice came again with like some fines for violation, whatever. And finally, he decided to meet up with the city inspector somewhere. I forgot when, but like somewhere really recently, actually. I don't know. I don't keep track the time. But anyway, the inspector showed up. And before he showed up, the landlord whispering in my ears and was like, "Don't say anything, because the inspector gonna keep coming back, and I know you're busy. You wouldn't want to be in this situation." And so I just like, whatever. I didn't say anything. And the inspector pointed out that we didn't have the carbon monoxide alarm, we didn't have fire extinguisher. We need and I know it, but I just feel like situation with poisoning of carbon monoxide is really rare. Besides, I open the windows all the time. Whenever the weather is so nice, I open the window. Even in the winter, I open the window sometimes to get fresh air coming in. So situation of monoxide being poisoned by carbon monoxide is really low. So I kind of like not really looking to like concerned so much. And then a fire extinguisher, I'm like, you know what? Big fire, I know how to cook. I can control things, unless there's an electrical wire fire happen, then oh well. Anyway, but I try not to think about those kind of unfortunate situations when I live. But anyway, so it's like those, and then it needs to like some sort of got tightened up, some outlet need to be covered, and then one of the dryer, the I don't know what to say, but like kind of like the exhaust need to be connected to outside, but it didn't, so it was actually inside the house. So like it was nice in the winter when you get extra warmth from drying your clothes, but in the summer it gets like crazy. Oh, and the house doesn't have central air, so it got even more heated if there's an exhaust of your dryer inside the house. So he made those notes, and then he laughed, and then I was assuming that, okay, you're gonna take care of this thing. And of course, COVID hit. So then I just like, maybe it's hard to find some sort of workers to come and do these things because of COVID. So I kind of like, waited out to see what he actually can do. Nothing happening, right? And then another situation, this is a big thing. So there was a leak in the bathroom sink. And then, so it happened, my boyfriend visited me at that time, and I'm like, can you please take a look at it? Because I don't want to call him up to tell him there's a leak in the faucet in the bathroom, and then he's not going to do anything. So then my boyfriend did look at it, and he just kind of gently tried to touch the pipe and examine it. And also he just kind of didn't do anything. And the plumber said, you did not do anything wrong, absolutely. He just kind of testing how the pipe would look like. It leaked even more to the point that the the hot water tank, the pipe in the hot water tank start to leak too. So this house is like holding up like with the shoestring. So when one thing got loosened up, everything just kind of like falling apart, right? So then I called up the landlord. I'm like, oh my God, it needs to be fixed right now. Can you please do anything? And he didn't say anything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call some professional and get us to look at, because everything leaking and I don't have time to wait here and collect all the leak. So then he said, whoa, I want to take a look at it, but he never showed up. I want to know that what is the problem is before they make any repair. So then I called up, the plumber showed up, and he told me that the whole plumbing system in this house didn't get done professionally. They use the pipes as a PVC. It's not copper for hot water. Fine, if you don't have copper because you are cheap, but at least go to PEX. Okay, I'm a woman. I kind of know some sort of thing like this. And they do these kind of thing unprofessionally, and this house is so old that it's just waiting for things just happen, because the PVC pipe will get brittle throughout years, and it will leak eventually, and this is how it happened. So then the plumber fixed the leak under the faucet, changed the pipe under there, put in the correct pipe, the correct material for hot water, and then fix some in the hot water tank for that. And so, yeah, but he didn't replace the whole system because, of course, it's going to cost a lot. So he just replaced a small section that just stopped the leak, and that section is made of PEX. So, and that was the thing. And then I just deducted the money from the rent, and I think, oh yeah, and then when I called the landlord, say, okay, this is the list that they're gonna fix, and I need it fixed now. And he's like, can you just tell him to fix the leak in the sink, but not the hot water? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't have time to collect the leak in the hot water. And if I have to pick and choose, I would want the hot water tank, the pipe got fixed first, even though it costs more than the leak in the sink in the bathroom. But I told him I'm going to fix it all anyway. This is the essential thing, So then he just got so quiet and say anything. And then I deducted the money in the rent, and I'm like, this essential thing, and I'm deducting it in my rent. So that's the big thing that I think probably made him so annoyed, to the point that anything, that related to, to the house maintenance, he would just like think that what I'm calling him becoming unnecessary communication. And so then things somehow went by without any problems, and he just got quiet. And then in October, he texted me and asked me like, what are you gonna do since our lease is over? Because I wanted to know either I wanna put up for lease or anything. And I told him that, I didn't tell him that in 90% that I don't want to move out, because I sometimes I just fed up with him. It's because my cat loves the neighborhood. It's a cul-de-sac, dead end street, minimal traffic. My cat like owns the neighborhood. The ginger tabby, not the black one that you saw in the picture. He literally like has his favorite spot, hangout spot, that I can just go there and collect him, whenever I feel that I need him to be inside the house. So he owns the neighborhood. He has the empty lot next door that he literally claimed his, that he already done exploring that area, so he moved on. The neighbors are super nice, especially my next neighbor. He helped me so much. Like he blew the leaves for me, and I had to give him some cakes or something. So anyway, it's just one of the reasons. And then the other reason is I just don't want to pack my stuff and move after like a year and a half. It's just me packing. I live by myself. And so I just like, yeah, I can rent it again for next year. And so he just got quiet and he didn't give me any lease at all. And I'm like, well, maybe switch to month lease, which is fine to me. Maybe I should look around to see anywhere else that maybe I would consider. And like my gut always telling me, I think it's a lesson. Sometimes you follow your gut, how you feel. So I was feeling like, what, I should just look around just to see what's going on. So then I was just looking around, and then around Christmas time, his realtor contacted me and like, oh yeah, we need your house key, and because your landlord putting up this place for sale. And like, wait a minute, I didn't hear anything from him about this place getting sale, put in market. And she said, oh yeah, he did tell me a week ago. I thought that he told you. So I got so mad at it. I texted him and he's like, yeah, I decided to sell it off the properties. He has he sold one property last year. He had this property right now and another property he considered maybe put up for sale too. I think this is his method, okay? He lured people in, let people stay in his house, and try to sell this place to the tenant. Because last property he did, he sold it to his previous tenant. And so, but I'm not really wanting to buy at all, especially this house. I'm not going to buy this house. So he said, are you going to buy this house? I'm like, no, I'm not buying anything. So anyway, he would just, oh yeah, and on top of that, the fridge got broken, okay, guys? And it got worse and worse. I tried to hold on to it for like 2 months. It got like worse and worse to the point it couldn't hold any cold temperature. I started to text him and like, I have been holding on to this fridge for 2 months, and now to the point it couldn't do anything. And then he didn't want me to purchase anything. He tried to claim that I had some responsibilities to cause the fridge to get broken because he bought this fridge for $2,000. Okay, I bought a fridge before for my previous home. It's double door, freakingly big for $2,000. This fridge is not $2,000. Okay, guys, I could show you later on what it looks like. This fridge for no way $2,000. So then I'm like, I kept throwing out my food for the past 3-4 days. I can't do that anymore. I'm going to Lowe's now, and I don't have time to take off another day waiting for you to deliver another fridge or not. I'm gonna go buy and deduct it in the rent. And he was like, if you buy that fridge, you're gonna pay for it because you might be responsible for it. And so then I found some sort of legal protection on life in Michigan that if it's an essential thing, that if your landlord is not responsive to that kind of, repair that needed to be, you can have 2 actions. One is just hold off the rent, or 2, take the action and deduct in the rent. So I did it again. I went out. I found the cheapest fridge that I can find. Okay, I'm just nice. I'm not like go and like, okay, I'm gonna charge you $2,000 because you say this is a $2,000 fridge. I'm gonna replace another $2,000 for you. I was so considerate. I went to Lowe's asking what is the cheapest fridge. I don't care about the color. I don't care what brand it is, the cheapest one that you can give me. They give me a Frigidaire, which is like around $600, fit perfectly the area that I measured out. And you know what? I tumble onto the previous fridge, really good, like looking exactly similar to the fridge that broken, and it's only around 700 or something. Maybe it's a newer model, but it's so darn similar looking. It's 700. I just laughed inside. I'm like, yeah, right. $2,000 fridge from you is actually $700 standing right here. But you know what? I got a $600 because I'm really considerate. I know that I just need a working fridge. And I guess you don't really care how the fridge would look like in the house anyway. So I just got the cheapest one I could found. So then I charged him in the rent, and then the oven, before that had problems, some sort of like problem with the switching, whatever. So I couldn't use the oven for the past 6 months. And I mentioned that to him. He did take a look at it during the house, like a city permit inspection. And he's like, okay, I'm going to send someone to come over and, look at it for you. But then the COVID hit, right? So then I give him a doubt that, a better the doubt that, it's COVID. So it's hard to find. Anyway, so since I'm calling when the fridge got broken, I did call a person to come out to take a look because I think maybe it needs to be repaired. Maybe it's only $200 repair. So the repair guy came and he found out that, you know what, actually it has the leak in the pipe of the fridge. So that's why it couldn't hold, the temperature. The Freon got leaked out. Now, Freon can lead to poisoning, and as odorless, you don't know anything. So for the past 2 months, I was holding on to this fridge. I probably inhaled some Freon in my body, although it won't cause any future problems for your health, for my health. But you could get some dizziness or anything, right? So the Freon leaked because of that fridge. And so the fan tried to kick in, tried to run all the time because I told the repair guy, I keep hearing the cranking all the time. And he's like, yeah, because, the temperature dropped so much, the fan tried to kick in to compensate to get more cool air, but you can't because of Freon leak out. So then the guy was like, I don't think it's fixable because if I fix it, it's going to be around $1,000. For me, I think I'm just going to trash it, and I think you just should go and get a new fridge. That's his suggestion. Since he was there, because he was there, I'm like, can you please look at my oven as well? And so he looked at it like, okay, this is fixable. It's like just something with a touchpad. It didn't work. I can replace it for you. And so he put in the orders. It didn't get delivered yet because of COVID. I tried to call the store many times, and they're like, you know what? Because manufacturing is actually low inventory right now, we couldn't find a touchpad, but we have you on the file. So I deducted the money out. I was giving him really small amount for one rent that month, and he responded. So when it comes to money and when it comes to some of legal issues that he had to deal with, he was being really responsive. Okay, so he texted me like, why do you give me so little money for the rent this month. I'm like, well, because I give him the receipt, I give him and I deduct it. I'm like, this is what it cost. And so he like, well, I have to pay the mortgage for the house. It's less than the mortgage I normally would pay. So can you just please go and deduct this money, spread it out for 3 months so that at least I can cover my mortgage. So then again, I'm really understanding, and I'm like, fine, I don't really need money all the time anyway, so I can afford to spread it out for him. And so I did spread it out for him for 3 months so that I could pay the rent less, but deducted a small amount of money. So that was the problems of the house. So back to how the house got put up in the market. So then when I asked the realtor how the picture's gonna be, and she said, oh, you're gonna use the old pictures, And then all of a sudden, a week later, she was like, well, your landlord thinks that the house has some more updates, which is not true, but maybe more updates before, the whole thing, because again, I told you it looked like a crack house. So we need some pictures. And I'm a busy person. I have my work, I have my job, I go home, I do exercise, I work out, and then I have 2 cats to take care of. On top of that, I try to clean my house. I'm not organizing it in a way, but I clean it because it's more important to keep it more sanitary than organizing your shit, right? So I was too busy, and then I didn't have any, words from him asking a favor, like, can you please tidy up the house for the pictures? So I'm like, I don't have time. I'm not gonna fold my clothes. I'm not gonna tidy up my thing because this is not my house. And if he told me, can you please do that, I would consider it. I would make an effort for him because what? I'm a nice person, So there was no words from that. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that kind of thing because I knew, because I sold the house before. When you take a pictures, you need to stage your house, right? So then they only give me 1 day of notice to come in and take pictures. I'm like, fine. So then I still have my clothes that I did the laundry, put on the bed of the other bedroom. Occasionally I would fold it and put it away, especially when I'm going away and I have like the cats that are coming and take care of cats, and I don't want them seeing this kind of mess. So normally I would fold it for that kind of occasion. But it's only me most of the time. I don't really care how it looks like as long as it don't damage the house, right? So sometimes I fold it, sometimes I don't. And then to the point that, I don't fold it anymore. I'm going to put that because I'm kind of like partially packing right now, even though I'm not telling him that I'm partially packing because, again, I feel my gut that I really need to go. So they showed up taking pictures without a landlord, just a realtor and a photographer. And then I was kind of joking in the background with the photographer, like, well, you need a lot of Photoshop to clean up this kind of, mess that I might have. And he was just laughing, well, this is what it is. And, if they hire a really good photographer, if they really put effort in selling the house, they could actually go on Photoshop and clean it out. It's really simple, airbrush, delete, erase, done. I'm doing Photoshop before, I know. Nope, they put it up on the website with my stuff. I don't care. But then yesterday was the last straw for him and also for me. So on Saturday, they have two showings. One young couple coming. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sit here. They start to ask questions. So how's the house? And I told them the truth about the plumbing, about the insulation. It's cold in here, there's no insulation. And I told them that, I don't want to deter you from your decision. It's your decision anyway, but later on, before you sign the contract, you need an inspector anyway, and the inspector will tell you. It will come out eventually. So they're like, oh, okay, thank you. And then the second group was actually investor. Honestly, I don't like this guy anyway, in general. And he was just kind of like, asking again the same questions. I told him the same thing, and then I did tell my boyfriend, I'm telling people the truth. Well, part of me, because I just want them to know the situation. Another part, the whole house dragging, he might rethink that he's not going to put up in the market anymore. And I'm just going to lease month to month, buy me out some time to look for a better place. So anyway, but then I told my boyfriend that it's going to come back and bite me in my ass, because they will give the feedback of the house and they will tell him the issues of the house that they heard from me. Sure enough, at night, I got his text and say, why are you telling them about the plumbing? There's no issues about it. And I'm like, no, there's issues. The plumber did tell me, and they asked, I told them the truth. And he was like, that's it. You are moving out on February 4th. I'm gonna issue a vacant notice. I'm like, fine with me. And you know what? Let me read some of the message that he sent me. That actually talked a lot about him. That see how nice I would be. It's starting with first that I need some sort of protection, like 30 days, like they mentioned in writing, so that I won't get kicked out by a buyer, before 30 days. And I sent him a text, hey, his name, I don't mind paying you monthly. Oh yeah, because he sent me the reminder that I have to pay the rent this month. However, I need a written agreement saying that I have 30 to 45 days to move out if the house gets sold. At this moment, I don't have this kind of protection in case a buyer comes in and wants to move in right away. If you can't provide that kind of document, I'm going to pay you weekly from now on, since I don't want to fight for the money back for the days that I won't live in this house. And then he said, it's part of the lease you agreed to, which is not true, okay? I pull out the old lease. There was nothing mentioning in the lease. It says at the end it gets switched to month, and that if there's a new homeowner, you get a 30-day notice at the very least. However, like I say, it's not going to be a fast process anyway, and 9 out of 10 usually investor will pick it up. I'm like, okay, I'll look at the lease again tomorrow. So I don't have it handy at this moment. For some reason, I don't remember that part. And it's like, either way, January rent should not be affected at all. As it just got listed, it takes 45 days to close on anything after a deal. So you're talking March plus 30 days. And I'm like, it's the usual timeline, I understand. However, when I purchased my previous home, it was done in 3 weeks, which is true. So it depends on the loan agency. I got loan pre-approved. So that's why it got so quickly. After getting an accepted offer, I'm sure it would take 2 to 3 weeks if you're lucky. Most home takes 5 to 7 weeks. I have sold over 7 homes personally in the last 2 years. The house just got listed today. Still need interest 2 weeks. Offer approval 1 week. Closing time 4 weeks. You are 2 months on the fast route, typically 3 to 4 months. Like I said, I would probably guess in the end of February, you will have a date of, if I had to guess, April 31st. Well, he has some grammar writing problem, but I don't want to discuss about it. And again, this is if the new owner doesn't ask you sign a new lease for 12 plus months, which is probably going to happen as investor will purchase. I mentioned you are a good paying tenant and not much maintenance, only when needed. They like that. Oh, he only mentioned that I'm a good paying tenant. That's all he cared about. Not that I actually really understanding and considerate. Honestly, I cleaned up this house when I moved in. I cleaned the floor. I debug everything. My mom helped me to fix the gate. We tie up the gate with the green wire. We trim some branches, okay, so the water not seeping into the house. He didn't care about that. The garage, we actually use a cardboard putting up on the wall so that there would be no holes on the garage. No, he didn't know those things because I didn't tell him. Because why I had to tell him? I just wanted to make it at least holding up so that I feel a little bit better when I live here. And then so I respond, good to know, I just need to look at our lease again to see that section. I believe what you assure me. However, I just need some sort of legal written agreement between us in case we get a buyer who comes in with all cash deal or quick loan approval and such. I don't want to move at all, honestly, but my status is kind of in the limbo, and I don't want things to happen to the point that I'm homeless temporarily. And so it would be impossible to make a January around so. And so I'm like, I had the VA loan before, the veteran loan, and I got approved in 3 weeks. I went to look at my previous house right after Christmas, put in the offer since I already got my loan pre-approved. After 3 weeks from Christmas week, I moved into that house. Since we get some showing this Saturday, you can get an offer right away, and everything can be done in 3 weeks. So then silence after that. And this is the longest response that I've ever had from him through text. And so the morning I sent him my previous lease with him. Hey, I have our lease here and I didn't find this section saying switch to month rent. And if the house gets under a new ownership, I have 30 days to move out. Didn't find that section. So then I actually texted the realtor asking her the same thing. Can you tell my landlord to give me this kind of written notice that I have 30 days protection? She say, oh, by law, Michigan law, you will be notified 30 days. Also included in the sale agreement offering, so everyone know that. So then I put just like, okay, I texted him to show you my understanding. I will pay the rent fully this month, so it will take 3 weeks as the earliest for the buyer to take over. However, please prepare a legally written form for me indicating that I have 30 days to move out after the closing. Otherwise, in February, I will pay you weekly as I start the process of looking for a new place to move. And then I'm like, also, will I be able to get my security deposit back? I will use it for the moving expense since the situation is unfortunate for me. And he said yes. So we will have an update to see if he actually give me the deposit back. And then the issue about why the plumbing issues arise. Anyway, so then he's like, that's it. I'm submitting a notice vacate. You will move out. And so I was like, so what happened to the fee of the fridge in the oven? Will that be included in the security deposit? He's like, yep, you will receive that within 30 days after you move out. I'm like, thank you. And then he texted me. I thought that would be over, right? He started it. No problem. I also explained to the new buyers if they're renting out, it would probably be best to find a new tenant they prefer. A big reason for me selling is dealing with unnecessary communication from tenants. So I am not sure. Maybe you will hear someone, maybe not. So it's best you find a new place even if it is an investor. And so I'm like, yep, I'm up for that. However, in my opinion, for being a landlord, there should be always communication between both parties. I've been a responsible tenant. There are always worse people than me, as I got to know stories from landlords who are also my friends. Who would chase after a landlord like me, asking where I should deposit the money when the app said the lease ended? Oh yeah, the lease ended, the app couldn't take the money to give it to him. I texted him several times, like, where should I send you the money? Where should I send the money? After 2-3 days, give me the address. Okay, you can just use Zella to send it to me. And he was like, all 7 other tenants I have, thankfully. So he said that, well, yeah, because he has other 7 tenants that really good, but not me. I'm like, well, I guess you and I don't see eye to eye in certain things. However, in my previous renting, my previous landlord that I had always responsible communicating with me whenever some issues with the house arose, or even with my personal thing. This house is so old and needs lots of maintenance, and the issue just happened during my rent. On top of that, the city kept bugging me for the permit, so I'm not so sure what unnecessary communication that I had to push you to get your attention. And then he's like, we'll see. Yeah, I'm not the only one who noticed it, honestly. Even Amy which is a realtor. Okay, so when you are a shitty person, somehow your circle friends, whoever associate to you, are so shitty. Okay? Amy, the reader, was stating how you didn't even make an effort to clean up for the pictures, which shows your laundry on the bed everywhere and the house a mess. How is the house a mess? I'll show you later with a different live stream on Instagram, so stay tuned for that, how the house would look like. And the status condition. And then he was like, that's not the way you did things to try to stay in the home. Just not talking about his writing, okay? You would have been way better off if you did it the right way. Okay, by the way, I'm not the prime, my English is like a secondary language. I write better than this, okay? Just saying. But bear with me with his language. That's not the way you did things to try to stay at home. You would have been way better off if you did it the right way. And the new owners would have kept you on board with a nice impression. However, now everybody has a bad taste for you. I'm like, well, you didn't ask me for a favor for cleaning it up for the pictures. You only gave me a day of notice when I just did the laundry a day before. Additionally, I live in the house as long as I don't damage the house. Whatever it looks like is up to my effort. You are the one who sells the house, not me. So why should I clean up the house for the open house when I did have to deep clean the house when I moved in? Even I pay you for the cleaning fee, but the house was not organized and clean when I moved in. You say, there was nothing in the home when you move in. That's your stuff, remember? It doesn't matter, however. Have a good night. Talk to you Monday with your final day. I'm like, oh yeah, Mo cleaned it up when you were not around. He did complain to me, and I told him that I did some more cleaning up. He said it was even worse than what I saw at that time. Don't bring it up about how I first moved in. The backyard was like a jungle. The gate couldn't open. The garage door almost hit my head. And then the glass was shattered. Thankfully, not hitting on my head. Otherwise, I probably had brain damage by now. The house was filled with bugs and holes on the wall that Mo had to patch up. And he gave me the text LOL, laugh out loud. Yeah, because he didn't believe that happened. Or he laughed at me because he wishing that, that glass might just fall on me and I just had brain damage. And I keep going. The furnace made a shrieking noise, and later I had to use a cardboard to close up the gap as the door of the furnace is missing. I steamed the floor with my own steamer and vacuumed everything. My mom used a cardboard to cover up holes in the garage, so when you see the garage, you can tell how much my mom and I did. We trimmed the branches above the back door so that water wouldn't drip into the crease of the door. We tied up the gate with green wires. We planted some flowers and even tried to make the grass grow. You can examine everything to see how much little things that my loved ones and myself try to make it look holding up. Also, you visited in the past. You visited the house in the past. Do you see any mess? I'm like, and then I just give him this final thing. And it's actually coming from my heart. I say, oh yes, it doesn't matter now, does it? Because all you see now is just profits and your convenience. You only stop by the house when I really urge you to, like for the city permit. After 4 or more times that the city inspector stopped by and posted the notice that this house illegally rented. And since you were here for the city inspection, conveniently, you would look at the oven and promise it would fix next to it, and it's never fixed. And you stopped by one more sometime last year, trying to fix the closet door since you were here. But the door never get installed. So then all the safety stuff that city suggested, like carbon monoxide alarm, fire extinguisher, is never get provided. Well, I could die of carbon monoxide poison without knowing there is in the house. You probably don't care. But when it comes to money for rent and some legal paperwork they ask you to issue, you happen to be responsive. You know, this is just, I just feel some people, they're just so bad, you know. You try as a person, your money and fame and pride, it just shadow you. And there's no human interaction, there's no human kind. I feel like I'm trying to be a best person I can be, nicest person I can be, most understanding, because I try to think for other situations. But some people just come back and just take advantage of me, of the people like me. And it's just so sad. It's just so disheartening to know that there are people out there existing, you know, especially in this pandemic, you know, we need the most. It's like human understanding. And I feel for people that have the worst situation than me. You know, I just have this thing as the best for me to move out and get a better place. But what if some people, they can't do it, you know? They don't have a privilege for it. They don't have anything to protect themselves. And so I'm just closing this here. And I will show you the condition of the house that he thinks is freakingly messy, clothes everywhere, which is not true. I showed you how we fix things, try to fix things to make it become a livable place. And all those small little things are not counted because the people like him don't care, you know? All they care about is how to make money fast, quickly. And only them will be benefited from whatever. Doesn't matter. Step over other people. Don't care. So I'm just closing up my session, my talk right here. And I just want to use the social media to just open up my situation and show you my vulnerability about my situation. And I just hope and I just pray that people out there would just change a little bit of themselves just for the sake of people that probably don't have the same privilege like you. Be nice, be kind for each other. It doesn't matter. In the end, it's just money, you know? You don't need that much. As long as you don't put yourself in debt, and you shouldn't put yourself in debt if you can, then a lot of money doesn't mean anything. If you just becoming like this kind of person. And I feel so sad for me and for him and for the whole situation and for people out there like him. It's just the whole thing. It's just so sad. And even more sad in this kind of era, you know, like this kind of pandemic, this kind of things, when things get worse, you start to see the true color of the person. And you will just feel so sad about it. You just feel everything becomes so meaningless. So anyway, I just have to go. And I hope you guys, you know, give me some feedback about what I'm saying here, or give me some tips how to deal with this, with the whole situation, or something that, you know, I feel this is not meaningless, the whole thing. I don't know. We just have to support each other, especially in this time. So I'll see you guys later, and maybe I'll put up some of the update about the condition of the house, how much we try to fix things. And maybe before I moved away, I could disclose the street name of the place that I live here, so that whoever trying to buy this place won't get fooled or scammed by this landlord. Okay, guys? I know that it could be in your budget money, in the range. And if you are the first home buyers, try to get a good deal. Think about it. You pay for what you get. Okay, so take a look at the foundations, all plumbing. Those are actually the main core of the house as a homeowner before. It's the main thing to look for the house, not how the house look like. Okay, not how the living room should be, not how it should be displayed, not how the closet should be. It's none of that. Okay, foundation, plumbing, furnace, electrical thing, all those things are the most important when you buy a house. So keep that in mind. If you're a first home buyers or whoever never buy a home before, don't know any clue about it, just keep that in mind. So I'm closing here. Stay safe, guys. Stay healthy. I'll see you next time.